today tells about how the biggest tree in the entire forest grew from a tiny acorn. How many of you seen acorns laying around on the ground? Our book is called In a Nutshell, and it was written by Joseph Anthony and illustrated by his wife, Chris Arba. They live in Virginia. Today we're going to learn some really important things about trees. An acorn, just like this one, will open and roots will go down into the soil, and a stem will grow up into the air. The stem will soon have leaves. This is a very young tree. It's called a sapling. Every tree starts out like this, but this is the story of just one kind of tree, an oak tree. The life of an oak tree happens over and over again. It's almost like a circle. So from the tree, an acorn falls to the ground, and then a tiny new tree called a sapling, which we just looked at, grows out from the acorn. Now it takes many, many years to grow, and when it's big enough, it's full grown and it will make more acorns. Then these acorns fall to the ground and new saplings start to grow. This happens again and again and again. Do you see how it's like a circle turning forever? All right, let's read our book. Remember, it's called In a Nutshell. It was written by Joseph Anthony and illustrated by Chris Arba. Dawn sparkled on the great forest. High in the treetops, plump acorns were leaving their sunlit home and falling into darkness below. One little acorn wanted to stay in the light forever, but it soon lost its grip and fell too. What do you think is going to happen to the acorn when it reaches the ground? Think about that big circle or cycle of the acorn that we talked about just a minute ago. A moment later, it landed with a thump and lay still. The forest floor was very, very dark. Somewhere deep inside, the acorn knew it must get back to the sunlight. It would have to break free of its shell and become bigger than it was. Do you remember what it will do next? Think back to that picture we looked at the very beginning. The acorn did what? So when the season was right, the acorn burst open. It pushed out roots and a stem and stretched itself into a tiny sapling. The sapling took food from the wet soil. It soaked up every drop of light its tiny leaves could reach and grew a little more each day. As days passed into years, the sapling discovered that becoming an oak wasn't easy. Hungry mouths nibbled it. Vines choked it. Sometimes it was icy cold. At other times, it was burning hot. There are lots of things that make life hard for a tree. Can you think of anything else that the author hasn't mentioned? Hard times helped make the sapling strong as it grew into a tree. Yet even the strongest trees weren't safe from everything. Still, it kept on growing and reaching for the sun. Years passed. What was once a small acorn became the tallest tree in the forest with deep roots and sturdy branches. Countless leaves touched the sunlight. They turned the light into life that filled the tree and flowed over. From this picture, I can tell that these people lived a long time ago. First of all, most people don't build their houses out of logs anymore. Also, I can see a buggy or a wagon that they would have attached to a horse instead of a car. And look at their clothes. We don't wear clothes like this anymore. Remember that this book tells the story of an acorn growing into an oak tree. Think about all the different steps it's gone through so far. Now, this is where we're going to leave off, and there's more of the story that we'll read tomorrow. I want you to think about that diagram to make a prediction. What do you think is going to happen next? We knew that an acorn has fallen off of a tree many years ago, and it's not a sapling anymore. and it's not trying to grow taller to reach the sunlight. So what could be the next step?